Here we are again, boys and girls of the astral Astartes. I address thee from the higher realms of enlightened expression. Delving deep into the archives with help of some novel friends. We read on in this serialization of the Emperor's Legion. Pleiades limped away from the mantelpiece. There were chains everywhere, but I knew he wouldn't sit. "It's Cardia," he said, as if that conveyed everything that needed to be said. Well done, Jack, I thought. For as long as the Imperium had existed, Cardia was ever at the forefront of its deliberations. Over the last 200 years, my lifetime, the High Lords had devoted an ever-increasing amount of time to that one world. Regiments had been thrown into the void to bolster it. Space Marine chapters had been petitioned to reinforce its approaches. Armor rights and strategios had been seconded to augment its walls and its fortresses. There were other battle zones of import, Armageddon and Badab, in which we were stretched, but in truth none of them mattered, besides Cardia. For if that world fell, then the balance of power we had cultivated for 10,000 years would be ended at a stroke. "You have tidings from the sector?" I asked. "None." "Well then," I said, "in the absence of that, you do not understand me." It was then that I first truly noticed the Master was not his moribund, desiccated self. I was used to seeing him gloomy. I was not used to seeing him scared. His long grey fingers clutched at his support, and even that did not quell the faint trembling. "We can handle the visions," he said, and he no longer looked at me. I do not think he was looking at anything in the chamber just then. I do not ask any of my alpha-level astropaths to undergo what I would not myself. I witness what they witness. I undergo the same trials. I let him speak. I will be truthful. His manner disturbed me. Pleiades was not the confessional sort. I wondered if his mind had finally been cracked by the strain put on it. Yet he did not show signs of mania, just a kind of dread. "Probing that close to the eye has always been perilous," he went on, "but now nothing. No terror, no screaming visions. A curtain has been drawn across it." I did not know what to say to that. We had been at full-scale war over the Cardian Gate for over 5 years. And during that time we relied on the Adeptus Astra Telepathica for the vast bulk of our knowledge of how our forces were faring. There has always been interference and ambiguity, and often contradiction, but never silence. In my naivety, I even wondered whether it might be a good thing. that the nightmares unleashed by our enemies there might be finally abating. Then I looked at the master again and saw immediately that it was not a good thing. "Tell me what you need," I said. "Need?" Heraclides barked a dry sort of laugh. "I need 1,000 more psychers. Stronger ones. Not the dross I get from the black ships now." He blinked. His breathing was shallow. "This is different, Chancellor. I can't read it yet, but my blood tells me true enough. Don't be misled by this calm. It comes before catastrophe." He had told me similar things before. I might have learned to ignore the warnings if it were not for the horrendous expression on his mournful face. "The 12 must meet," he said, "and dissolution must be enacted." So that was it. Another throw of this old die. Despite myself, my heart sank. The arguments had been scoured over and over for more years than I had been alive, and there had never been a resolution. "I do not think that will be easy," I said, already determining how such a thing could be done. Camera Inferior is not scheduled for another 3 months. Heraclides whirled around, fixing me with his strange, swimming eyes. I felt a brief tremor just for a moment, a flash of insight into his colossal psychic power that was not meant as a threat. I think just a momentary lapse in control. But the effect was still startling, like placing one's hand on static electricity. "You can make it happen," he said. Possibly so. Possibly so. "Have you spoken of this to any of the others?" I asked. "None," he said. "Then I beg you, do not. Not yet. I will make my approaches. It would be best coming from me." "I know," he said, and a grim smile cracked his features. "You have wormed your way into the confidence of us all, doorkeeper. Sometimes I think you are the most dangerous man on Terra." Perhaps he meant to be flattering. "You give me too much credit," I said. "I merely accommodate." "So you say." The hollow look in his eyes returned. "Do it, though. Do what has to be done. If you need coin, if you need anything, let me know." That was an amusing thought. I had more coin than any of them knew. I could have bought half the council with it already, were any of them remotely interested in such things. But, to their credit, none of them were. If they had vices, then they were all connected to power, not avarice, and baubles held little sway over such souls. "Of course, there is one difference this time," I ventured cautiously, knowing that I was telling Heraclides something he already knew. "The Lord Brack has not yet been replaced, and so one seat is empty."